What's going on, guys? It is MurderInc here, and yes, you read the title right. Today I'm going to be going over the best unkillable clan boss team currently available to you in the game. Now, when I say that, you could be confused. If you've watched me for a while, you know I don't like to talk like things like these are 100% factual. However, if you have watched me, you know that I'm all about the clan boss. I've done a ton of clan boss testing. I've shown you a bunch of different compositions you can run Unkillable with already. There are also ones that I know about that I haven't showed you about. Ones using champions like Warcaster, even crazy out-of-the-box ideas like Folly, using him at pretty much base speed, so 0 speed added to his gear, using him to soak the stuns at almost half the speed of the clan boss, in making an unkillable team with that. So of all of these teams that I know, the team I'm going to show you today that is by no means new, I can confirm out of everything I've seen, this is 100% undisputed the best unkillable team for you. Why am I doing this video now? As you can see from the boosted summoning portal here, we just had our 2x void event. So as you can guess, we are talking about 2 man-eaters and 3 DPS. I'm going to walk you through the setup, show you a key, go over why this is hands down the best unkillable team you can possibly make. So let's get right into it without wasting any time. Alright, so as you can see here, I am using Septimus as my leader. I am using 2 man-eaters, Dracomorph, and Brakus. Now you can use any 3 champions, it does not matter who you use. The only thing that will matter is make sure you have enough damage to successfully 2 key, 3 key, whatever your goal is in this game. Make sure that is something to look at. Obviously, once I'm done with this run, we go over the recap. I'm going to show you the stats on all of these champions, their speeds, giving you all of the information you need to replicate this team to your success. Alright, so let's walk through this run and I'll show you what to do. You're going to start with the A2 on Man-Eater 1, the A2 on Man-Eater 2. Then you can just cycle through your 3 damaging champions using any ability you want from them. None of this will have any role in what happens to the man-eaters. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to use Unkillable on your first man-eater. You're going to use the A1 on your second man-eater. Once again, cycling through any damage cooldowns your other DPS do have. This does not matter and will not affect the man-eaters. You're going to use the A1 here. Now the clan boss is going to go. Now, super complex. As you can see, turn count number 2. You are going to hit A1 on this second man-eater, then hit the auto button. And now, this is the entire setup of this team composition. So this is one example of why this is hands down the best unkillable team you can possibly run in Raid Shadow Legends. Another factor that's absolutely gigantic and probably a very big talking point for what I'm going to do right now, leading on to some of my future videos, this team will work on any single affinity you want. Doesn't matter if it's green, blue, red, or void, this will work in any single affinity. The only exception is your damage may vary based on the type of champions you have. What I mean by that is if you are running 3 Magic Affinity champions, you are not going to be as successful against a Force Affinity boss. As far as Unkillable goes, the actual rotation and surviving 50 turns will always work. However, you might not reach the damage you were looking to reach if you are running 3 champions on any clashing affinity in a clan boss key. One super important thing to notice, this will change in the future, so if you are watching this after this video has been out for some time, this point probably doesn't apply anymore. However, if you've noticed this, there is currently a problem with the infinite health system where some champions AI are picking up the boss as having 1 hit left in life, making them seem killable, so they're choosing to use their A1 over their cooldowns. I can tell you this is not the case for man-eaters. Once again, for the current time we're in and the current patch we're in, this is another huge driving factor in making this clan boss team so strong. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to put a picture on the screen of how this team did against Red Affinity. Red Affinity is definitely the worst affinity for my team, as you could probably imagine, since I do have a Dracomorph providing my poisons and my defense down and weaken. The good news is that defense down and weaken don't have a negative effect against the clashing affinity because Dracomorph doesn't have to hit the target. However, the poisons can absolutely weak hit. So with this screenshot, I want you to see just how much damage this composition can do in the worst possible affinity for this. So the damage potential is absolutely huge with this team comp. So as I'm recording this is actually the first time I've ever ran this team on Void. So together with you, I'm actually going to see what the damage potential is going to be with this double man-eater comp. I'm not really sure how it's going to play out in the scheme of things. I believe the damage is going to be pretty high. As of right now, we are on turn 24 and we're doing about 28 million damage. So that's definitely a very high damage per turn. So I'm looking forward to how much damage this team can do once we get to the 50 turn mark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this run to turn 50 and I will get back to you when this run is over. Alright guys, so we're back with the recap of our run. As we can see here, we have 12.7 million damage from Septimus, 13.2 from Brakus, 5.4 from the first man-eater, 6.1 from the second man-eater, and 21.7 million damage from Dracomorph. Now, shockingly enough, this is extremely low RNG. As you can see from the worst affinity this key group has, as I showed you, it doing 60 million damage on the red affinity boss. What happened during this run is there were quite a few times it was actually strange to see where Dracomorph's defense down and weaken got resisted on the boss, as well as Man-Eater landing his attack down on the boss, taking a full debuff slot away from Dracomorph's poison. So that is something huge to consider. If you have a Vizier, this team can actually do 80 million damage or more per key, which is extremely high. For that matter, if you use a Vizier in pretty much any single key, you are looking at some of the highest thresholds of damage possible. If you think back to the original one key that I made just over a month ago, where I got between 74 to 78 million damage on Ultra Nightmare, the ceiling of that team comp is about 84 to 86 million damage. So if you do have a Vizier, I highly recommend using him with some other type of poisoner to keep that debuff bar full all the time, preferably with a defense down and weaken, and you will see some absolutely incredible numbers with this team composition. So now that we've gone over the run, let's go over the champions, their gear, what they're wearing, if I'm doing anything special. So the gear I'm using on Dracomorph is, as you could probably imagine, enough accuracy to always land the poison debuffs and the defense down and weaken. Hopefully in my case, as we saw from that run, it didn't work out too well. But the main key is building him with high damage so he sustains throughout the entire run. As we can see, 212 speed is the speed the first champion needs. Now I want to see this once, I'll probably say it again just to remind everybody. The speeds you are going to see on the screen here on all of these champions are practically non-negotiable, meaning you cannot go one speed faster, you cannot go one speed slower. If you have very in-depth knowledge of how to use the speed simulators on any website resource that you know about, I'm going to leave a link below to a website that I like personally, so look for that in the comments below. I'm definitely going to leave that resource there for you. If you don't have an in-depth knowledge on how this works, I highly recommend you sticking religiously to all of the speeds you're going to see here today, making sure your champions have the identical speeds of the champions I do. As far as masteries go, nothing special here. Your typical War Master tree with the support tree, having a chance to reduce the cooldown on Dracomorph because I felt like the ability to add poisons quicker definitely helps a little bit with Septimus RNG, as well as the extra boost to accuracy while still building damaging stats. Next champion we have here is Septimus. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to gear him as well as I wanted to, but he was still proving to hit the clan boss for ridiculous numbers. So it's really cool to see that he has such a high ceiling in damage and how much he can actually put forward on the clan boss. This champion's speed is 210. Obviously, we have 294 crit damage, 253 accuracy, but the key point here is 210 speed. For any type of extender, I highly recommend you giving him this speed and putting him in this slot for the most success in your runs. So this is the mastery for Septimus, the same as Dracomorph. He has War Master. He has the ability to reduce the cooldown, even though it's only 5%. It does still help if he can use that enemy max HP ability more than he normally would be able to with this specific mastery. Now the last DPS we have is Brakus. Brakus, as we all know, is one of the greatest raw damage dealers and mastery damage dealers in the game with his kit. He is the slowest damage on this team, and one thing to keep in mind, the only time you would ever move Septimus or Vizier to the slot Brakus is in if you are running a double poisoner. If you do have two champions who provide a debuff, you want them both going first with that 212, 210 speed, and then have your extender where Brakus is currently at 207. His masteries are a little bit different. If you know how Brakus kit works, he doesn't need lifesteal and he can full heal. That's where I wanted to take advantage of the defense tree to give him the opportunity to counterattack, since he is pretty much full healing after each ability that he uses. So as we can see here, offense and defense on the offense side, none of the masteries really matter besides the counterattack mastery. And on the offense side, we do have Giant Slayer instead of War Master. Now let's go over both of the man-eaters. This is the first man-eater I'm using. I chose to gear them in damaging gear. You don't have to do this. This is just if you want to push your team to the max to see just how much damage you can do. It is very easy if you have these champions and can hit the speeds required to complete Ultra Nightmare Top Chest in 2 keys regardless of affinity. So I'm really hoping this helps a lot of you out. As we can see here from the total stats, we have 246 speed. Now, before I move on from this, this goes to our second point and why this team is the best unkillable team available to you today. As you've seen in the past, there are teams that need 241 to 243 speed, but there are also teams that are requiring ridiculous speeds like 300 speed, as well as teams who require 250 speed. The speed of this man-eater and the next man-eater I'm going to show you are definitely an even middle ground for an achievable speed you can reach without having to rely too crazy on building insane damage stats on these champions. Ideally, you definitely don't want to stack accuracy on your man-eaters. However, if you do land an attack down on the clan boss, don't worry about the A2. Your man-eaters will use the A2, however, it will not mess up your order. I had attack down on the boss a few times tonight, even with this low accuracy, and I made it all the way to round 50. The masteries for this champion, I also elected to use the defense tree since they were doing a decent amount of healing. If you want some help with your speed boost, you can absolutely use Lore of Steel with 3 speed sets to make sure you get to that desired speed number. Now we're going over the second man-eater on our list here. As mentioned before, I also stacked as much attack, as much crit rate, and as much crit damage as I possibly could onto this champion. This is the faster of the two, not by much. The first one we saw was 246. The second one is 248. Now this might not seem too much slower than a champion that's 250. One of the main reasons why I said this team was the best because of speeds is while some of the other team comps do require 250 speed, they also need 2 unkillable champions as well as a debuff cleanser for the stun, where this team does not need that. Having to use a champion as a stun, you really have to not only build your champions fast for other comps, but you also have to build them with damage. As mentioned before, you don't have to build any damage on these man-eaters, and you can absolutely hit that 3 key or 2 key threshold with ease by just having 3 damage dealing champions on your team. Once again, the masteries on this man-eater are the same as the last man-eater. I have the defense tree and the offense tree with War Master. Alright guys, that's it for my video today. Hopefully, if you're watching this, that means you pulled the 2 man-eaters required. Hopefully you can reach the speed goal. It is a bit fast for some people who are probably trying to sneak their way into the Ultra Nightmare territory in the clan boss. Let me know in the comments if you do plan on building this team, and let me know if you know of any other unkillable team that in your opinion clashes with my idea of calling this the best unkillable team available in Raid Shadow Legends today. I really want to hear your feedback. I know I have a ton of viewers who know a lot about the game, so now that I can reach a big platform, I'm here to get all of your feedback and see what you have to say on this topic. As always, thanks a ton for watching this video. I appreciate the support. Don't forget, if you like this content, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and I will see you all in the next upload.